Secretary Carlos Gutierrez, thank you so much for joining us here on Newsmax TV. You are the co-chair of the Hispanic Leadership Network Conference here in Doral. Talk to us about the mission of the network and why this conference is so important.
Well, this is an annual conference, and the idea, these are conservative Hispanics. And it's a way of conservative Hispanics to come together and share ideas, share values, share ways of bringing others into the fold. We believe that Hispanics are naturally conservative. If you think about what conservative is, the family, faith, dreaming for a great future, dreaming for a way to get their kids into school, dreaming for something better than they had back home. I think that is 100% conservative. And it's a matter of just being clear about that, because I think there's confusion about what is conservative and what is liberal and what is, you know, does progressive sounds better than conservative, so therefore some people are progressive. So it's all about conservative Hispanics, and more we're seeing that group is expanding.
What role do you see Hispanics playing in the 2012 election? Could they swing the election, and could they swing the primary underway in Florida right now?
Well, there's no question that Hispanics in Florida, I mean South Florida right here, is a very important part of Florida. And yes, the Hispanic vote is critical. The Cuban American vote is critical. I thought what Governor Romney just said, you know, I mean, brought the house down. He's recognizing that we have had a dictatorship, a brutal dictatorship 90 miles from our shores for 52 years. And everybody's up in arms about Mubarak was there for 31, Gaddafi for 42. What are we doing about the fact that we have this brutal, ruthless dictator who's putting our citizens in jail? And we're not saying anything. I mean, people get very frustrated by that. Why doesn't our government say anything?
Will Hispanics help defeat President Obama in 2012, do you think?
I think Hispanics are very clever in the politics that are going on. They were promised immigration reform. They haven't gotten anything. And what they have noticed is not so much that the administration had a very strong effort to get immigration reform, but immigration reform has been used as a political football, as a tactical political football. So Harry Reid throws out a bill knowing it'll never pass, so he can blame it on Republicans. The president says this, but he blames it on Republicans. But nothing has happened. And he had the House and the Senate for his first 2 years. So Hispanics see that. And a lot of Hispanics I've spoken with feel like they've been taken for a ride, and they don't like that.
The GOP primary candidates, what is the reaction by Hispanic voters to their approach as it relates to immigration reform?
I think they are, you know, they've heard so much, and they've heard so many candidates with buzzwords. They have been promised everything by everyone. One candidate came here today and simply spoke the truth, which I thought was very courageous and very honorable, and that was Governor Romney. And he talked about things that can be done. He talked about immigration in a big strategic sense. You know, the 12 million are part of an immigration strategy. I think the problem we have gotten ourselves into is that immediately we go into the bits and pieces of immigration, the tactical part of immigration. What are we going to do about the 12 million? And that just holds up the process of having a strategic look at what are we going to do about immigration at large, because immigration is a competitive advantage. Immigration is something we have that most countries don't have. And if we get this right, we'll have an advantage for a century. If we get it wrong, shame on us.
You touched on Cuba earlier. Do you envision any changes to U.S.-Cuban policies while the Castro brothers are still alive? And if trade relations were to resume again, what opportunities would you see for U.S. businesses?
Well, what worries me is that the Obama administration is giving concessions to the Castro brothers without getting anything back. Not only not getting anything back, but they have thrown back some things that aren't very friendly. So President Obama has lifted remittances. They've lifted a cap on remittances. People can send whatever amount of money they want to Cuba. So all of a sudden, Castro has a lifeline, thanks to President Obama. That doesn't help the Cuban people. It helps Castro. It helps the people close to Castro stay in power. What has he gotten in return? They just slapped a 15-year sentence on an American citizen who was taking computers down for the Jewish Cuban community. I haven't heard a word from this administration. I mean, if it were someone in Iran, I would suppose we would say something, because that's popular to say. But why isn't someone talking about Cuba? 52 years. So I was very encouraged by the courage, the vision, the foresight, the knowledge that Governor Romney showed.
Secretary Carlos Gutierrez, thank you so much for joining us again here on Newsmax TV.